Echoes of the Red Ball, a haunting tale of love and loss. Raj Basu. It was a crisp mid-October Saturday in 2024, and the air buzzed with excitement as we celebrated Dashami, the grand finale of Durga Puja, in our cozy home in Columbia, Maryland. Jilik, my wife, and I had coordinated this gathering of close friends, not just to relish the joy of togetherness, but to keep the vibrant spirit of Bengali culture alive across oceans. Our two little adventurers, 4-year-old Adi and 2-year-old Afi, eagerly joined the festivities, delighting in the chaos of playtime with our friends' kids. 3 families arrived to share the celebration. Arnab and Dabarati brought their spirited 4-year-old daughter, Ahana. Samir and Apita came with their energetic boys, 5-year-old Akash and 3-year-old Anik. And Pranab and Banali joined in with their delightful 3-year-old daughter, Ishani. As the aroma of traditional delicacies lingered in the air and lunch ended, the kids darted off to the basement, their laughter ringing out as they delved into their imaginary adventures. Upstairs, the adults settled into cozy conversations, their hands warmed by steaming cups of tea, the atmosphere alive with camaraderie and contentment. It was Samir who first mentioned the sluggish arrival of fall's fiery hues, lamenting that the peak colors were yet to appear. Jilik, always quick to seize an opportunity for adventure, proposed a fall trip. Ideas began flying like autumn leaves, each more enticing than the last, until we all agreed on the enchanting Deep Creek Lake. The excitement surged as laptops and phones lit up with searches, and within half an hour, we struck gold, a stunning vacation home perched by the lake's shimmering waters. Without hesitation, we booked it, setting the date for the last weekend of October. A pact was made. 2 nights of shared laughter, exploration, and memories. The days leading up to the trip zipped by in a flurry of preparations. Finally, the much-anticipated Friday arrived. I wrapped up early at the university, and by 5 p.m., our car was packed to the brim with essentials, delicious food, and an extra dose of anticipation. Adi and Avi could hardly contain their excitement, chattering about their reunion with Ahana, Akash, Anik, and Ishani. Each family came prepared, carrying enough food to create a communal feast, ensuring our time could be spent soaking in the beauty of Deep Creek rather than standing over a stove. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we set off on our 2.5-hour journey, the car humming with excitement and the promise of an unforgettable adventure. The road stretched ahead, leading us toward a weekend brimming with the golden glow of autumn and the warmth of cherished friendships. The clock ticked past 8 p.m. when we finally arrived at the Deep Creek vacation house, the headlights of our car slicing through the cool night air. Our journey had stretched a little longer than planned, thanks to a few delightful snack breaks along the way. As we pulled into the driveway, we noticed the other family's cars already parked, their laughter and chatter spilling into the night. Opening the door, we were met with a chorus of cheers and warm welcomes. The kids, as if powered by their own brand of radar, immediately found one another and erupted into squeals of joy. The house itself was a marvel, a sprawling retreat with a cozy yet modern charm. The main level boasted a spacious living area with plush seating and an open kitchen that invited convivial cooking and conversation. Upstairs, 4 luxurious bedrooms awaited, each with its own attached bathroom, perfect for our group. But it was the basement that stole the show, a haven of entertainment equipped with a table tennis setup, a pool table, and a dedicated kids' play area. Sliding glass doors led to a massive deck overlooking the shimmering expanse of Deep Creek Lake. Beyond the deck, stairs descended directly to the lake, which was framed by the most vivid display of fall foliage we'd ever seen, a kaleidoscope of red, orange, and gold. By 9:30 p.m., we were gathered around the grand dining table, savoring a feast of rice, fish kalia, and a delectable Bengali-style goat curry. The kids, full and content, soon tumbled into their beds, leaving the adults to linger over light-hearted discussions and plans for the next day. Laughter filled the house until, one by one, fatigue nudged us toward our bedrooms at the stroke of midnight. The next morning dawned crisp and cool, and the scent of puree and potato fry drew us to the kitchen. Energized by breakfast, we were on the road by 10 a.m., ready to dive into the day's adventures. First stop, Swallow Falls State Park. Nestled among the mountains, the park welcomed us with its untouched beauty. The Yogyagini River wound its way through rocky gorges, its waters cascading into mesmerizing rapids. The centerpiece was Muddy Creek Falls, a towering waterfall crashing into the rocks below with a roar that demanded awe. Towering hemlocks stood sentinel over the silent woods, their branches whispering secrets to the wind. The trail, cloaked in fiery autumn hues, guided us through some of the most breathtaking scenery we'd ever encountered. By the time we reached a local restaurant for lunch around 1:30 p.m., we were ravenous. Plates of buffalo chicken, lemon pepper chicken, mushroom medley, and pesto and prosciutto filled the table, while the kids dug into chicken nuggets, hot dogs, and mac and cheese with glee. The afternoon was a thrill in itself. We rented a luxurious 15-guest yacht, and as it glided over the calm waters of Deep Creek Lake, the world seemed to pause. The shores, ablaze with fall colors, mirrored themselves in the lake's glassy surface. The 6 kids turned the yacht into their personal playground, their laughter mingling with the cool breeze. Meanwhile, the adults soaked in the serenity, exchanging stories and laughter under the open sky. By 6 p.m., we returned to the house, exhilarated, yet content. Over light snacks, the kids gravitated to the basement, their boundless energy intact. The adults, meanwhile, gathered in the living room, swapping photos and videos from the day, reliving each moment as the golden hues of fall slowly faded into the night. The kids' laughter had been our comforting background music all evening. So when Adi and Akash burst into the living room, their faces pale with fright, it instantly silenced the room. "David went outside," Akash exclaimed, his tiny voice trembling. "Through the sliding door with the red ball." A chill ran down my spine. "Who's David?" I asked, trying to steady my voice. But before the boys could respond, Arnab, reacting quicker than any of us, dashed toward the basement. We followed closely, tension mounting with every step. Downstairs, the other children, Avi, Ahana, Anik, and Ishani, stood frozen, staring out the sliding glass door. But the door wasn't open. It was locked, secure, and untouched. Arpita knelt in front of Akash, who was visibly shaken. "What happened, sweetheart?" "Who's David?" Akash, the oldest, took a deep breath, glancing at Adi for confirmation before explaining in fragmented sentences, the words tumbling out, as if he was still trying to make sense of it himself. From what we could piece together, it was like this. As the 6 children played, a boy had appeared out of nowhere. a boy who called himself David. He had a red ball and invited everyone to play. David shared the ball, laughing and running with them until he kicked it toward the sliding door. Instead of bouncing back, the ball seemed to pass right through the glass. Then David, without hesitation, ran after it, straight through the door and into the darkness beyond. When Akash and Adi tried to follow, they couldn't. The door was locked. Every word from Akash and Adi's mouths tightened the knot in my stomach. My rational mind rejected the story, but their wide, terrified eyes spoke otherwise. We barely had time to process their tale before the unthinkable happened. From the stairs came the sound of frantic footsteps, and a woman's voice cut through the air, trembling with desperation. David! David! We spun around just in time to see an unknown woman, her hair wild, her eyes frantic, racing down into the basement. She didn't pause, didn't acknowledge us, just ran straight to the sliding door. And then, before our stunned eyes, she disappeared. Not through the door, as one might expect, but through the glass itself, vanishing into the night. A collective gasp filled the room. Jillik grabbed my arm, and I realized my own hands were shaking. We exchanged glances, each face a mirror of the fear and disbelief that gripped us all. The silence hung heavy, broken only by the sound of our shallow breaths. What just happened? Jillik whispered, clutching my sleeve. My voice faltered. I think we need to call someone. Samir, still pale, pulled out his phone and dialed the rental agency. In a voice as steady as he could manage, he relayed the events to the operator. There was a long pause before she responded, her words measured. I'll contact the owner and call you back. 15 agonizing minutes later, Samir's phone rang. The operator informed us that she was on her way with the house's owner. They would arrive in half an hour. We didn't dare stay in the basement. Huddling together on the main floor, we tried to make sense of what had just happened. The joy of the day, the laughter on the yacht, the breathtaking fall colors. All of it now seemed like a distant memory, swallowed by the creeping unease that filled the house. No one said much as we waited. The silence was oppressive, each of us lost in our thoughts. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind outside made us jump. Whatever had begun as a festive retreat had turned into something we couldn't explain, something terrifying. The room fell into an uneasy silence as the agency operator, Shelley, and the house's owner, Ronald, stepped into the living area. Their expressions were a mix of concern and curiosity, though nothing could prepare us, or them, for what we were about to share. One by one, we recounted the events. The mysterious boy named David, the red ball, the locked sliding door, and the woman's chilling appearance. Ronald listened intently, his weathered face betraying no emotion at first. But as the story unfolded, his demeanor began to crack. By the time we finished, his eyes glistened with unshed tears. He rubbed them hastily with the back of his hand, muttering an apology under his breath. I need to show you something, Ronald said, his voice thick with emotion. He took out his phone and gestured for Akash and Adi to come closer. He scrolled through his gallery, stopping at a particular photo, and turned the screen to the boys. Their reaction was instant. That's him! That's David! Akash exclaimed, his face lighting up with the innocence of recognition. Adi nodded vigorously, clapping his hands. A collective shiver ran through the adults in the room. Are you sure? Jilik asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, that's him, the boys said in unison, their excitement oblivious to the tension suffocating the rest of us. Ronald swallowed hard and then showed us another photo. A woman with kind eyes and a soft smile. Our breath caught. It was her. The woman who had stormed into the basement screaming David's name. That's Debbie, Ronald said, his voice trembling. My wife. We stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in like a stone. Ronald took a deep breath, visibly steeling himself before he began his story. In 2018, my wife Debbie and I bought this house, he said, his gaze distant as if he was staring into the past. We wanted to use it as a vacation rental, but also spend some time here ourselves. Our son, David, was 5 years old then. A bright, energetic boy who loved this place the moment he saw it. He had a favorite red ball he carried everywhere. Ronald paused, his voice faltering. Shelley placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder, and he continued. It was the last weekend of October, just like now. Fall had arrived late that year too. Debbie and David came here to spend a couple of weeks while I attended to business. Debbie was cooking dinner in the kitchen, and David was playing in the basement. His voice cracked. She glanced out the kitchen window and saw him outside, near the lake, with his red ball. She didn't understand how he'd opened the sliding door. She screamed his name and ran down to the basement. We hung on every word, the room heavy with dread. When she got outside, she saw the red ball floating on the water, but no sign of David. Ronald continued, his voice breaking. She dived in and searched for him, calling for help. But by the time the search teams arrived, he paused, closing his eyes against the memory. It was too late. They found him 2 hours later, lifeless. A heavy silence fell over the room, broken only by the sound of Ronald's uneven breathing. Debbie never recovered, he said, tears streaming freely now. He continues. She blamed herself for not watching him closely enough. Her health deteriorated, and 4 months later, I lost her too. The story hit us like a tidal wave, dragging us into the depths of Ronald's grief. The joyful day we'd spent at Deep Creek Lake now felt like a cruel juxtaposition to the tragedy he'd lived through. Shelley spoke softly. Ronald has kept this house because it's all he has left of them. He tries to honor their memory by sharing its beauty with others. Ronald wiped his eyes, his gaze now fixed on us. I never imagined. He paused, struggling for words. I never imagined they might still be here. But if what you've said is true, he looked toward the basement, his voice breaking again. Maybe they are. None of us knew what to say. The night's mysteries had transformed into something far more profound. A window into a heartbreaking past. The house was no longer just a retreat in the woods. It was a place haunted not by malevolent spirits, but by love, loss, and the echoes of what once was. The weight of the night pressed down on all of us, the air thick with sorrow and unease. None of us could bring ourselves to spend another night in that house. The decision came silently, almost unanimously, as if we were all connected by the same invisible thread of fear and grief. We gathered the families and discussed our feelings in hushed voices, away from Ronald and Shelley. When we finally approached them, Shelley nodded with understanding, her expression a blend of empathy and regret. "We're so sorry," she said softly. "We can arrange for you to stay elsewhere tonight if you'd like." But we declined. Another place wouldn't erase what we had experienced, nor would it lift the pall of sadness that hung over us. We wanted only to leave. Within a couple of hours, we had packed our belongings and loaded the cars, ready to head back to the comfort of our own homes. As I stepped out into the cool night air, I saw Ronald standing alone near the edge of the parking lot, silhouetted against the faint glow of the house lights. Something about his figure, so still, so solitary, drew me to him. I walked over and hugged him tightly. He didn't say a word, and neither did I. There was nothing that could be said. When I pulled away, Ronald's eyes were distant, gazing back at the house. "Take care," I murmured, though the words felt hollow. As we drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw him walking slowly back toward the house, his shoulders heavy with a grief that time had never healed. We stopped briefly at a local restaurant to pick up dinner, our conversations sparse and subdued. Standing in the quiet parking lot, we exchanged weary goodnights and wished one another safe drives home. By then, it was already past 11 p.m., and the boys, exhausted from the day, had fallen asleep in the back seat after eating. The drive back to Columbia was long and silent. Jillik stared out the window, lost in her thoughts, while I kept my focus on the road, replaying the night's events in my mind like a haunting reel. Could the laughter of our children have stirred David's spirit from its restless state, calling him back to the games he longed to join? Was it David's innocent soul lingering in a world he no longer belonged to, unaware of his own passing and yearning for the companionship of children to fill the void left by his tragic end? Or was Debbie's spirit still wandering the house, trapped in an endless cycle of heartbreak, desperately trying to relive those final moments in the hope of saving her son? Was Debbie's ghostly presence our mother's eternal promise, never to stop searching, never to stop protecting? And then there were the deeper questions that lingered like a chill in the air. Was there something about this house, this lake, that held spirits in its grasp? Were we only the latest witnesses to its mysteries? Or had others before us left with similar stories, too frightened or too doubtful to share them? But why had we been the ones to witness these apparitions? Was it pure coincidence that brought us to this house? Or was there an unseen hand at work, guiding us into the midst of their haunting story? These thoughts swirled in my mind, unanswered and unrelenting, as though the house itself had planted them there, ensuring its secrets would live on long after we had gone. The streets of Columbia were eerily quiet as we pulled into our driveway, the headlights casting long shadows against the garage door. Jillik stirred and glanced back at the boys, still peacefully asleep. "We're home," I said softly, as much to reassure myself as her. But as I turned off the car and stepped out, I couldn't shake the feeling that part of us hadn't left that house by the lake. A fragment of the night lingered, embedded in our hearts and minds, a puzzle without a solution. What did it all mean? Would Ronald ever find peace in that house? Or would it remain a place caught between worlds, a silent witness to love and loss so profound it defied time itself? I looked up at the stars, their cold light piercing the darkness, and wondered if they held the answers. But the sky remained silent, and so did the night.